BookTube, it's Missy, and today I'm here to share with you guys 3 reviews, mini reviews, on the 3 books that I received in February from the publishers. I had one book from Quark that I got sent a long time ago, but it finally came out in February on the 1st, and then I got 2 books from K Publishing. The other publisher is Zeus, Head of Zeus. I don't know if Head of Zeus works under K Publishing, or K Publishing is like a middleman for other books that were printed. I don't know how all of that stuff works, but we're going to start with This Is Not the Jess Show by Anna Carey. Now, I have read Anna Carey before. She wrote a duology. I believe the first one is called Blackbird, or maybe that is the second one. I did read the first one. It was very fast-paced. I never picked up the second one just because I read the first book like in 2015, 2016, and I borrowed it from the library. I don't own it, and so I don't know if the library ever carried the second book, and so I just never finished the duology. But I didn't mind her writing. Her writing was very like captivating, and I said the first book was very fast-paced, so I was very intrigued in the story. Same with this book. Now, in the front flap of the book itself, it says that this is supposed to be like Black Mirror meets My So-Called Life. In this fast-paced, timely novel about separating fact from fiction and the lengths one girl will go to live on her own terms. Now, with all of that being said, this is more like The Truman Show with Jim Carrey. If you have never if you've never seen the movie The Truman Show, basically what that movie is Jim Carrey, the main character, goes about his day, but the world outside is watching him like 24/7. So he is a part of a TV show that he didn't know existed, that he didn't know he was on. But everybody in the town that he lives in are like actors or actresses in this TV show. So everybody knows that it's fake except for Jim Carrey. And that's exactly what happens to Jess in this story. So we have a girl named Jess Flynn, and she lives in Swickley, which is a very small town. And she's got 2 best friends that are kind of acting a little strangely, you know, in the last weeks before Jess finds out what's going on. So she's starting to piece together that there's things that don't pan out. And she feels like everybody's lying to her. And basically, they are. So if you liked the Truman Show, I would definitely pick this up. I really enjoyed it because Jess is in 11th grade in this book, and this is like 1998. And I was also in 11th grade in 1998. The things that are on her wall, I even had on my wall. The music that she was listening to in the book, I would listen to all the time. There was one part where it said like title, the title, Tidal. And I was like, oh, that's Fiona Apple. It didn't say Fiona Apple. It just said the title of the album. And I was like, that's Fiona Apple. Because I would play that over and over and over again. So if you like the 90s, if you like 90s music, if you like 90s sitcoms, if you like 90s clothing, if you grew up in the 90s, if you like anything that has to do with like The Truman Show or living on a sitcom that you didn't know it was even, you know, a thing, I would definitely pick up this book. It was a lot of fun. It's a YA contemporary. There isn't like a mystery. There's no thriller. It's just a girl going about her life and then discovering that everything that she has ever known is a lie. And that's very, very sad. And the ending of this book was like, not anticlimactic, but kind of. It was kind of anticlimactic and a little sad too. Like, if that happened to me, I would be devastated. And I think Jess just kind of goes with it because there's nothing else she can do. So she's just like, it is what it is. So Yes. If you guys have read this book, let me know down below what you thought of it. I really enjoyed this book. I believe I gave it a 3.5 stars. I will leave it down here what my actual star rating was, and also I will leave my Goodreads written review down below in case you want to check that out, because like I say in all my videos, I write better than I speak. So if you thought that this review was a little lame or not very fulfilling, I guess you want to say it that, you can read my review on Goodreads. But I did appreciate Quark sending this to me, and I did enjoy this. So thank you so much, Quark. And Anna Carey liked my Instagram post, so thanks so much, Anna Carey. I enjoyed your book. All right, and then the next two books that I received were both from K Publishing. There's a discrepancy on the due dates or the release dates for these books. I believe this one came out on the 4th and this one came out on the 2nd, but the book says on the back that both of them came out on the 4th, so I'm not quite certain. But we're going to talk about Spoils of the Dead first by Dana Stabenow, because this one I finished before I finished the package. Now, this is a Liam Campbell novel. It's part of a series. This is the 5th book. I kind of wish I would have read the series before I picked this up, because excuse me, because Liam moves to a different part of Alaska. All of the Alaskan, the names for the towns in Alaska are like indigenous names. And so I had a hard time pronouncing the Native American. It's not Native American. Maybe they are. Indigenous, like the Eskimoan. Is that even a word? Eskimoan? The indigenous people that are from Alaska. Their names are hard to pronounce. And so I kind of read them as I thought they would sound in my head. But anyways, our main character lived in Newham, maybe? And moved to Bluestown, maybe? But I wish I would have read more on like the previous books to kind of get more of a feeling of how this detective works. Now, he is a trooper, an Alaskan trooper. So he doesn't actually work for the police. He works with the police. And I don't know if he has any like if you can arrest people, or I don't know how it works. It's very strange. I would have to like look up the whole like, not history, but the ways about Alaskan troopers. So if you have any information that you wanted to share with me, let me know down below. But basically Liam moves to another place. The captain or the person that his boss is all like, there's a drug problem in Bluestown. I want you to go there and dry it up, like fix it, make it, you know, blah, blah, blah. When he arrives, the police are very like standoffish. The main policeman, like the head of the police in that town, basically said, you're not allowed in our jurisdiction, stay on the outsides, I don't want your help, I don't need your help, don't do anything for me, stay out of my way. And Liam's like, oh, okay. And then like the very first day he gets there, there's already a death. And that is the archaeologist that is on a dig site. He is found dead at the site, like within a cave. And it's all kind of very jumbled together. The dig itself, there's a lot of people not wanting him to get the funds to figure out whether or not this is supposed to be kind of like one of those historical sites, because the archaeologist is trying to keep a trail open so that way there can be no oil mining at this beach. And in Alaska, a lot of their revenue comes from the oil companies, you know, coming in and digging all that stuff up. That would bring a lot of jobs in, but also that messes up the environment and it's bad for everybody. And so the archaeologist is trying to find a way to keep the diggers, the oil people, from digging in this particular bay. So he gets murdered, and we have to figure out who the murderer is. And I felt like the ending was very, again, anticlimactic. I didn't know who the killer was until maybe like 3/4 of a way through the book. I figured, you know, it has to be this, even though they keep saying it's not. And like the author really was trying to do a misdirect so we wouldn't think it was this person. But it was so obvious because they keep talking about this particular item. And every time the item comes up, I was like, why is this item keep being mentioned? Obviously, that means something. And if you put all the pieces together, you'll find out who the killer is pretty much right away. So this isn't like a cozy mystery because there is a death. It's very odd. I don't know if I'll be picking up this author again. Not that she's a bad writer, but it's just not my style. There wasn't a lot of scary moments. There wasn't any thrill in this book. It was very character driven, which I appreciated. There wasn't very much world building, although there were long paragraphs of talking about the scenery of Alaska, which is nice if you know what these words are and where these places are. You would have to look at a map to visualize these things, because it's talking too much about the names of each town and what mountain ranges you're going to be flying over or looking at, instead of like describing the scenery itself, like winding rivers that are gushing. You know, there's not that many, there's not that much show. There's a lot of tell. I think that's the way you say it. I could be wrong. I know what I'm trying to say, but sometimes I mess up with the words. And again, that's why you want to go to my Goodreads review of the book, because there's a better example of what I thought in that review. So yeah, great character development. I loved the marriage in this book. There's Liam and then his wife, who is part indigenous, and they just have a very, very loving relationship that I really enjoyed. It wasn't like one was more dominant than the other. They both equally loved each other, and it talked a lot about the relationship more than the mystery that we're trying to solve. Like, it kept going on about how he wanted to bed her, how he wanted to be with her, and that's all fine and dandy, but this isn't a romance novel. It's a mystery, a murder mystery. So I was hoping for more of it to focus on the murder mystery itself, but it focuses more on Liam and his wife's relationship. And so I didn't understand why that was. So Dana's not a bad writer. I enjoyed the book for what it was. It wasn't hard to read. It kept me engaged. It just wasn't as my style as other books. So I did give this one like a 3.5 star. I won't be keeping this because I don't have the rest of the series. So this will be going in my trade away pile. All right, and then the last book I want to talk about is called The Package, and this is by Sebastian Fitzek. This is a German writer. All right, this one was so odd. And it took me so long to read it, not because it wasn't good, but because I was getting so angry. I want to say that if you liked A Noise Downstairs, I will leave the cover here of A Noise Downstairs. If you liked this story, this is kind of like that. But you know, this one had a male protagonist, and this one is a female. So we have a psychiatrist. Our main character is a psychiatrist. Her name is, what is her name? Emma. So Emma is a psychiatrist. When she was little, around like 10 years old, she imagined a friend named Arthur in her cabinet, like in her closet. And Arthur would talk to her. And when she first met Arthur, she was really afraid of him. And so she would run into her parents' room and she would say, please check, you know, the closets. I'm really scared. I think there's somebody in there. And the mom would indulge, you know, she'd go in there and check. But the dad was very like, get out of my room before I hurt you. Like, I don't care. I'm tired. I have to get up in the morning and do work, and you're, you know, pissing me off. And so she ended up being afraid to tell her parents, but Arthur continued to talk to her, and she slowly became friends with him. Now, one day her dad notices that she's still talking to her closet, and they make an appointment for her to see a psychiatrist. And apparently, a couple of months later, Arthur's gone. They're no longer having to deal with her talking to an imaginary friend. So it's like 30 years later, or 20-something years later, and now Emma is an adult, and she is at a psychiatrist's conference at a hotel, and she's explaining to the people that she was part of a study. And then she goes to her room and she goes to sleep. And while she's asleep, she gets attacked by a serial killer called the hairdresser. Now, he leaves her outside in the snow naked, and her husband, who's a cop, picks her up but doesn't believe that she has been raped. He doesn't believe that she was attacked, and everybody that she has spoken to thinks that she made all of this up. Now, the reason why they think that is, one, the hotel room that she said that she was in doesn't exist. Two, none of the other victims from the hairdresser was raped, so it doesn't fit his MO. And three, the hairdresser attacks and shaves the heads of prostitutes, whereas Emma is a psychiatrist. So again, it doesn't fit the MO. So people are thinking that she's just losing her mind and she's making this stuff up for attention. And Emma is like freaking out because nobody believes her. And I think that to me is like one of my biggest pet peeves in books is when when friends and family don't believe you. They think that you're lying, even though you've never lied in the past. Like, you normally don't make things up. They think that you're a nutcase. Instead of like trying to figure out how to help you, they just completely go against what you say. That always frustrates me. And miscommunication. When someone doesn't say something to a person and then that person hates them for not saying, like, miscommunication always drives me crazy in books. So for like the whole middle of this book, I was so angry. I didn't want to pick it up because I'm thinking, why does nobody understand? Why isn't anybody helping Emma? So she gets attacked, and then now that she's been attacked, it's been like 4 or 8 weeks or something like that after the attack. And she's been homebound. She has very bad anxiety. She can't leave the house. She's afraid all the time. And her husband is placating to this and also making it worse by continuing to keep her inside and not helping her, like, you know, do the whole like fear thing, like not pushing her in a loving way to try to make her well. He's like keeping her sick. And she goes through all of this trauma in the book, and the ending, I hated the ending too. God, all three of these books had kind of bad endings in my opinion. They were just a little bit lackluster. So with this ending, I don't know what happens to Emma. if she's stuck in the area that she's in, or if she moves on and she gets well. Like, I don't know what happens to her, because all of a sudden at the end it starts talking about somebody else, and that's where it like ends. And so overall, did the author do his job by making me feel uncomfortable? Absolutely. I've never read a German author before, I don't think. And so I definitely recommend picking this book up. I gave this book, I think, a 4-star or a 3.75, something like that. It was good. It kept my attention. I was very emotionally invested in this book because I was so angry about the way Emma was being treated. So I was invested to figure out what was going to happen. I just was having a hard time dealing with, you know, the story itself. But overall, I did enjoy it. So with that being said, I will definitely be keeping this book. It says it is a limited edition proof. I don't know what that means, but I like collecting books, so I will keep that one. So thank you so much to K Publishing for sending me both of those books, and also Quark for sending me This Is Not the Jess Show. And yeah, let me know down below if you guys read any of these books before. What did you think of them? Do you agree with my with what I just said? Like, do you think that those endings were good, or would you have changed them? And if how would you change them without spoilers? What would you do differently? Yeah, so that is it. That's my 3 books that I wanted to review for you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it was informative, and I hope you guys are doing well and you have a good rest of your week, and I will talk to you soon.